Good day and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, yesterday I went over how to sell your loot. Now, today I'm going to be going over something a little bit different. Now, I normally don't touch the industry side of things, but um, let's put it this way. I've noticed a lot of people not understanding how the industry side of gameplay works, and a lot of players are trying to do PvE and industry at the same time, and not understanding that industry requires a heavy focus. So, I am actually going to be discussing the faction of industry and how you should progress in it to be able to be a high level industry player and make the most ISK out of the game. Okay, so first of all, before we get into the main part of the video, I'd like to ask you all to leave a like, subscribe, or comment on my videos. And if you don't like the video, please leave a dislike and a comment. It's appreciated if you do leave a comment and a dislike because that tells me where I'm going wrong and some things that I can fix in the future. As I have explained before, these videos are scripted videos and I'm using a key points list to elaborate and make the video. Okay, so let's get into um, the topic of this video, which is going to be what you should be doing if you are industry focused. Now, being industry focused means that you need to focus more on your industry skills. Now, what does that mean in terms of your progression into other forms of the game? By being industry focused, that means that your research tabs aren't going to fall on the side of ships. They're going to fall on the side of clones, as I'm showing in the research menu over here. And you aren't just going to be doing industry, you are going to be doing industry and applied science. Because applied science is one of the most important things for those doing industry. As you can see, each faction has a different type of research that needs to be done. And then you get faction tech. And this is how you reverse engineer. And as you can see, it goes down through all of your types of hulls that you get. Now, with everything that I've said, I already know where most players are getting worried about progression and why they want to be able to do PvE and PvP at the same time. The reason for it is simply that they want to get equipment and wreckages and data cores from the missions in the game. Now, how do they do that effortlessly if they don't have the research on their vessels? There's a simple understanding on it. You need a corporation. Now, why do I keep saying you need a corporation for this? It's simple. No corporation is going to be a complete business corporation. If you're a complete business corporation, you're going to be trading. Um, uh, you're not going to be a complete industry corporation, so you're not business. And if you're a complete industry corporation, it means that everything you do is going to be alliance based trade. In other words, you're going to ally with another corp, and you are basically going to provide them with uh, blueprints, or you're going to provide them with ships, and they are going to provide you with wreckages and data cores. And that's the thing about it. There is a trade between the two. You can be a full assault player, you can be a full defensive player, you can be a full industry player. And that's the thing that you must understand. Now, for industry players, what are the most important things that they do? Number one is farming. They are going to farm a ton of ores. Now, why do they farm ore? The simple reason is ore is the most profitable thing to do in the game. And if you don't believe me, I can open the market and show you why. Now, when it comes to the ore, originally it was ridiculously cheap. And now it's getting more and more expensive, and refined materials are also getting super expensive. Now, when you are industry focused, you are going to refine materials. You're going to refine your gems. You're going to refine your raw material. You're even going to refine some of the excess parts that your fellow players are giving you if you have a corporation that's divided correctly. And as I said, you will have your PvP core who are hard hitting PvP players. They're hardcore players. They was probably running a ton of ships. And in case you didn't know, for PvP, the usage of small ships is very important because you get big ships like battle cruisers who can't lock onto frigates because the frigate's going to break that 1,500 mark, and as that ship is trying to lock, it's just going to keep missing, and where it's shooting is already well behind where the frigate is or the destroyer is, and that frigate or destroyer is going to eat through your shield 90% of the time if they uh, get the right weapons on them. So that's how a PvP player will play with a small ship. They go for speed over effective power. And also, when it comes to running debuff gear, they just need to run one NOS and uh, warp disruptor. The moment you try to warp, they're going to disrupt you and they're going to drain the energy out of your ship like no man's business. But anyway, let's get back to the industry. So in your corp, you have your PvP core, you have your PvE core, and then below them, you have your mid core. Basically, your mid core is a bunch of players who are doing the testing out of where they want to go. They don't know whether they in the PvP, they don't know whether they in the PV, uh, they don't know whether they're in the military or whether they into industry. So they're gonna do a little bit of mining, a little bit of farming. They're gonna do both sides of the entire equation, and their research is going to be very slow. But where they are going to beat you is going to be in endgame when everybody starts trying to catch up with the research. Because when we tech out at our max tech levels, you're going to see everybody just doing SP research into everything. You're researching industry, you military, and that's how it's going to go. But in order for us to reach that level, it's going to take us months. It might even take us years. Now, I'm not sure if this game has been set for a 2 year to max level or whether it's set at a few months to max level, but that's how I'm seeing things going in the game. So once we reach these levels, it's going to be that heavy draw to get everything to expert level and get everything ready to go. So if you are flying industry, the next thing you have to remember is that you are below these mid-core players. Now, when you are in industry, you are either going into massive reverse engineering or you're going into massive ore refinery. But you have to choose one of the two. If you are going massive into reverse engineering, remember that's a highly profitable market, but you have to trade with those who are doing ore refining and scrap refining and all of this. Now, your refiners make money off refining materials, and it may not seem like they're making that much of money to you, but at your rates as a standard player doing any refinement on a ore, you're going to find that you have something like what was it, 40% or 20% efficiency, while they can reach all the way to 100% efficiency, and they can award you with double the materials that you would have, and they can keep the remaining materials with themselves. And that's a fair trade for those who are in the next level up. And as I'm saying, it's a fair trade because you are getting double what you would have gotten, and they are getting some materials for themselves to sell and make ISK. And that's how things are going to progress in the game. Now, continuing from there, the next thing that you should know about running industry, as I'm saying, with ore refiners, is you're going to make a ton of money. Now, I'm just going to go into, let's see, I think even squad right is more expensive than what it's showing there. 26 per squad right. Uh, yeah, this is still cheap. And if I'm correct, yeah, something. Okay, it's still cheaper than its price. I'm surprised about that because players were complaining about the fact that they're paying more than the value of the materials. I'm not sure. I know some of these materials were ridiculously expensive originally. As you can see, my reprocessing efficiency is 30%, and others in a corp will have way high. Oh, here's one, 1,100. No, it's still way cheaper than its actual price. Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but maybe. Okay, so Anyhow, as I'm explaining in this whole situation of refining, the players who are refining and selling are going to make amongst the highest amounts of profit. Now, things are very cheap. I could even produce a ship cheaper than what some people are selling. So, anyway, when it comes to the reverse engineers and the engineers themselves, they are going to hold on to a ton of materials to sell. And like it is on the market, I'm not sure why the market is so cheap today, but the market should have been a little bit higher. You should be at least uh, double the effective cost that it's showing, because that's where the material cost should be heading. If it's staying so cheap, that means that people have high efficiency, and that's where they're making their profit. So you're going to be doing that exchange. If you have example like I have 30%, you have 20%. If I give you back 25%, I can keep 5% for myself. That 5% of refining that I've kept for myself is my profit, because I didn't do the mining on the materials. You gave me all the materials. I took that percentage of materials. Let's say, for example, you had uh, 200,000 compressed ore, and with the 30% refining skill, uh, I can do 10% more than you. I'm giving you 25%. That's 5% more than what you would have had. It's a much richer yield than what you would have had on your own. And I get to keep a portion for myself. You get to keep the portion you would have had plus 5% extra on what you would have retrieved. So you making a profit, I'm making a profit. I didn't have to go out and mine. I just had to refine your materials, give it back to you, and now you can go and you can make a blueprint. Now, when it comes to the reverse engineering, I may not have completed my reverse engineering in Kaldari or Amar, and I want an Amar vessel. So I'm gonna go to somebody else in the corp who's in the reverse engineering, who would most probably complete all four, all possible hulls, and get all the reverse engineering to maximum. So you have a very high percentage on tries for getting ship hulls. So if you decide you want to make a blueprint for a caracal trainer, you have something like 80% efficiency. That means out of 10 tries, 8 tries will get you blueprints. So you know your loss factor in 10. It's 8 out of 10, so you're losing 2. So you add that to your cost into your 8, and that's how you're working out how much it costs you in terms of material. And you can charge a player at that rate. So that's where you are making your profit if you're an industry magnet. Now, you get a lot of players who are playing greedy in the game instead of playing efficient and playing smart, and they're actually ruining the experience for other players. You'll find that there are some players who are going about just randomly bashing sectors where they find people farming. And it's not because they want to loot you or because they're doing it for piracy. They're doing it so they can get rich off the materials that they have in the market. They're destroying you so that you don't have that ore. They're destroying you so that you don't have the materials, that you can't mine at that rate that you were, and so that you have to be more cautious in your own sectors. And that's where the more greedy players are currently focusing against the industry. And you're going to find that there's certain sectors with wars in them at the moment, because I have seen it yesterday. Um, there was a war in one of the very low sectors, a -3 or negative 0.3 sector. There was a war going on. There were hundreds of ships in the sector. They were flying around, fighting, uh, killing, uh, killing miners, killing each other. It was brutal, and that's the way that this game is going to progress. So you have to think about it carefully when you want to make these profits and so forth. Going into full industry is the way to go for making profits quickly. But if you're going to be making profits quickly, you have to negotiate with having somebody giving you military force. That's why you have your PvP corp, and you need your PvE corp to get you the materials to help you with your industry, and you help them by helping them get their ships cheaper. So everything within the corp must be done at a lower rate than what you would do it at the market. If you're just going to trade on the market and not trade within your corp, you're missing the idea of the corp. The whole idea of the corp is to ensure that The game is efficient, the game is fair, and the game is easy to play. If if people keep playing that hardcore style with their own corps and they don't want to sell within their corps and they don't want to help people in their corp, they want them to pay the full price on the market, you're going to end up with a corp where the guy who does PVE, example like me, who does 8 hours of PVE a day, is going to have a ton of data cores, a ton of wreckage hulls, a ton of BPs and stuff like that from the Inquisitors and the Scouts. And I'm not going to want to give it to you because if I give it to you, you're not going to return any favors to me. If I ask for a BP, you're going to tell me no, I must buy it off the market, or you're going to give me the market value for it. And it's not going to be a fair trade within the corp because you have to get the data cores from me. If I trade it to you at the rate on the market, you're going to say I could just buy it off the market. So you get it. That's the way that it works inside the corp. You help each other out. You don't try and profit off each other within your corp. Yes, you can profit a slight amount. Like I said, with the efficiencies on refining. Example, I'm a PVE player majority. I do have a mining vessel. I have strip mining learned a little bit. I have a little bit of ore refining learned. So I'm at a 30% efficiency on refining materials. Now, let's say, for example, I decide to buy a massive mining vessel and I decide to AFK mine in my corp sector because we have rich mining nodes. And I end up with something like 300,000 compressed ore. And I take it into the corp and I decide I want to get more out of my stuff. So I'm at 30%. I speak to one of the guys who's full industry and I tell him how much I have. And I tell him how much I'm going to get if I refine at my current rate. So they're going to tell me, okay, they'll give me so much. And it's going to be something like 5 or 10% more than what I'm going to get. And to me, that's a win. I'm going to charge them one is you're going to pay the 11,000 is for transfer via contract unless your corp is open, giving you a role within the corp so that you can use the item hangers. And you're going to trade material for material. They're going to give you the refined product. You're going to take the refined product, store it in your personal inventory, and now you have something to trade on the market. It may not have been as big as you'd expect, but at least you have something. You have something more expensive. You didn't have to invest a massive amount of time, and you got something more than what you would have gotten had you done it yourself. And that's the way the corp works. The corp works with you gain, they gain, everybody gains in a circle, and it helps your corp grow. If you're just going to go straight to the market with everything, then your corp will grow, but it will grow at a slower rate than what it could. Um, I don't know how to reference this with a proper example. Okay, let's give you an example for your industry not helping your PvP corp. Now, your PvP corp form the protection against pirates. So let's say that your industry corp decide that they don't want to give you ships cheap. So you're running with a Caracal Navy issue when the sniper is now available, and you don't have the skill to do it as a PvP player. So you decide you're just going to run with your Navy issue. Now the Caracal sniper has a little bit more tankiness to it. You can take on the fight for a little bit longer. A fleet of 5 pirates warp into your mining area. You there and you decide you're going to try and take them on. You're doing good damage. You're taking quite a beating. You're ready to warp away. You're outside of the range of warp disruptors, and you gave all of your miners the heads up that they have to get out of there. 2 or 3 of them already are warped out. The last 2 are in the sector. Your shield is now dropped and you're taking damage to your health. The next thing you're going to do is warp straight back to the base. The moment you warp out, those last 2 miners are finished. They're going to get sniped out like there was nobody there to protect them. And this is where those same industry players who should be helping you have failed. Had they given you the sniper at a lower rate where you could have afforded it, had they helped you out throughout your entire development, at this point you would have had a stronger ship and you would have had to use less resources to learn efficiency and things like that in industry. And your industrial corp would have benefited from a very powerful ship being there. That powerful ship would have lasted long enough for all of them to get away. They would have gotten to the base, they would have docked, they would have been safe, and you would have docked after them. And it's just that difference between saving two or losing two that I'm talking about in this difference. And as you know, you lost a vessel as an industry player. Your vessel is worth 300 million ISK. You made about 150 million ISK in the day mining. That means you need another 2 days to gain it. And from the players in your corp, when you were selling at full price, you made about a profit of 100 million ISK. You literally just made a 250 million ISK loss overall when it comes to that whole situation. Because had you helped him, you wouldn't have lost your vessel. You would have still had that full 300 million um, value in your ship. Everything would still be there for you. I'm getting wrong on the maths there. I don't understand how to do it properly because it's a bit confusing in my head as well, trying to explain the importance of this. But you play with each other, you don't play against each other, you don't play to trump over the next person in your corp. That is the way these corps were made to work. They're meant to be community based. Uh, yes, this is like so difficult to explain. I know that I'm not the best when it comes to the explanations, but I'm trying to explain it in a way that is simple, but it's so difficult to explain because I literally went through this with somebody else in my corp. They were feeling that they needed to be PVE even though they were industrial magnet. They had majority of their skills in their industry and they were focusing on getting their cruiser tech up so they could mine the inquisitors and mine the anomalies. And to be honest, they so far behind on progression in industry that they only have something like a 60% efficiency. That makes them double as efficient as me. But they fell behind so quickly because they weren't getting that boost from trading on the market. All the time they spent trying to go and farm, they missed out getting the resources and refining it. They weren't strong enough in reverse engineering. They were failing 5 times out of 10 instead of 2 times out of 10. And everything like that, they was making it more expensive on that player. And that player wants to do industry, but the corp that I was in previously, we were dying out. We had less and less active players. They weren't getting enough hulls. And when we were trying to trade within the corp only had two assigned major characters. That made a big difference to how our overall gameplay was going. And when players tried to trade ships with each other through the corp hangar, we weren't getting a hold of the ships because nobody had roles to pull them out. And overall, the guys who had roles stopped coming on totally. We ended up with massive amounts of time with high tax, and everything we were doing was through contracts, contracting to each other overall, and we're just losing. We lost millions in ISK and we lost millions in progression. I even think that one of us left 300 million ISK vessel in the hangar, and the reason for it was they built two what's this thing? Two mining vessels, and the two mining vessels were left there purely because of the whole idea of helping out in the corp. So we had the right corp mentality, but our corp leadership didn't give us enough freedom to trade with each other. So you get it. It's a whole big cycle, and this is how you win as industry in this game by working with those in the other positions in your corp. Okay, this video has gone on very long, so thank you for watching.